Ready.
Welcome, everyone, to the Word of Mouth podcast.
There are many words and many mouths, and our mission is to find all of them.
I feel like I say this every single episode now, but this is one of the episodes I've been waiting to do the entire time.
This is like when we sit down and we're, how old were we? 23 and 24? Long time ago.
Oh.
Not now. That's a long time ago when we were younger. We made a list and we said, who are all the like coolest people we know who we could interview on a podcast? And I gotta say, maybe in the top 5 people was this guy right here.
Wow. Top 5.
I think. I mean, you could correct me.
I mean, genuinely, it was like, I mean, I think that there's like an unhelpful aura that pastors get that definitely gave like some added hype to that moment. We were like, wait, we could have Jeff on the podcast. And it was just like this understood, like, there's no way.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
So without further ado, guys, I'm very excited to introduce to you today's guest, none other than Reverend Jeffrey Heine. Dr. Jeffrey Heine.
Yeah, doctor's fine. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm happy to be here in my own office.
Yeah, thank you for hosting us.
If you're wondering, if you're a podcast viewer today, the vibes are a lot cozier because our guest today is the coziest guest. And this is his office.
Is that the aura you were talking about?
Uh-huh.
My cozy aura?
I think that
aura.
cozy game is just recognized. It's not earned. You know?
I mean, it's not earned, but it is cultivated.
Definitely.
Right? I mean,
And I think I'm all about cultivation. Yeah. I think that,
say more.
if you want to do something bad, do it fast.
Okay.
And if you want to do something good, do it slow.
All right.
I can get behind that.
GMOs is kind of the antithesis
Yep.
Yeah, probably
of
both.
farming. But, it happens.
Where do you take inspiration from for your office?
Photos that I've seen of C.S. Lewis's office and TGI Fridays.
Yep. 2 brilliant inspirational sources.
I've only eaten at TGI Fridays one time.
Why?
I don't know. I don't really know where one is, to be honest with you.
That's tricky.
I don't remember the last. I think the last time I had TGI Fridays was in another country.
Oh.
That checks out.
Yeah.
I remember. I can't remember what country I was in, but I was in another country and we wanted American food, and there was a TGI Fridays. It might have been Budapest.
I was in another country too, and it's called Orlando, but it's the part of Orlando by Disney World.
So it's basically another country.
And we were driving around. This is actually crazy. Like, we were driving around at Disney World, and we like left the park early, and we were trying to find some place to eat dinner because it was like, fun family vacation. And the wait was long so many places that we went in TGI Fridays, and there was still a wait. But it was better than other waits.
Yeah.
And I'm probably one of the few people in the world that can say without lying that I have waited to eat at TGI Fridays before in my life.
Yeah.
But it was like in Orlando, I was like, after a day at the park, we went and had like, burgers or something like that.
Something.
It's a beautiful place. I do remember it having like kind of a cozy vibe, like a dark academia vibe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much shot for shot what you're seeing right now. Except for I don't have any skis. I don't have any skis.
Yeah.
But beyond that,
I feel like
snowshoes.
you need like a mirror with like gold script, like hand painted stuff on it, and then it would for sure feel like an Irish pub / TGI Fridays gastropunk era vibe.
I'd be down.
Who are your primary literary influences?
Oh, jeez.
Golly, we're jumping in.
Yeah.
Jeff, what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah, who are you? Why are you here? Not on the podcast, but in general.
Like in existence?
Uh-huh.
These are great questions. These are really good.
Is that any less deep than what I said? I mean, come on.
I mean, I guess if you think about it hard enough, no. But.
Yeah. No, we can peer into the void.
Oh gosh, sorry.
Please.
Wait, that was
more
actually
of that.
kind of
Yeah.
kind of
That's
peer into the
actually
void.
kinda-
That was going to be a much better story.
Welcome to the.
Sorry.
Wow.
That was really loud.
So you just keep those on standby?
Yeah, just in case.
The first one made more sense.
Yeah, the
Okay.
first one was kind of funny.
Who am I? What is my purpose? And
Mhm.
yeah, great starting point. I serve at Redeemer Community Church here in Birmingham, Alabama. I've been a pastor here for about 17 years, around since the start of Redeemer, and a lot of my time now is more focused in our care ministry, also preaching, teaching, writing, that kind of stuff.
So I imagine there's probably going to be quite a good bit of Redeemer listeners for this podcast. I kind of want to invite people into that, like, OG. Like you said, you've been here for 17 years. What was the date of the first ever Redeemer Sunday?
That would have been March of 2008.
Wow.
So I want to say that it was like the 22nd or 23rd.
It was Easter, wasn't it? Or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make you feel old?
Do your best.
I turned 8 that year in
Aw,
March.
I turned
That's
10.
adorable.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Wow.
I mean, passage of time, you got me.
Yep, we got him.
Yeah.
He's old.
And where was the first ever Redeemer Community Church service, like that Sunday?
It was in the Brooks's backyard in Crestwood. Yeah.
Talk to us about Crestwood in 2008.
Well, I moved there in 2009.
Okay.
Jess and I, my wife Jess, we got married 20 years ago and moved to Canterbury
Canterbury, right?
Garden.
Yeah.
Canterbury Garden
Come on.
Apartments, some Gerald Way.
Yeah, that was where my first Canterbury apartment was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were
2529.
2514.
Oh, man.
wow.
That would have been crazy if I would have been like, no way.
Yeah. So you know the size of those places. Our first anniversary, we got a dog.
Wow.
Challenging.
Bad idea.
Challenging.
So that's the size of the place, and then make it a Weimaraner.
extra challenging.
Yeah. Lasted 1 week.
Actually.
Yeah. And then it went to go live on a farm in Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
But
So
actually,
it wasn't like
it
that's when we
did-
moved to Crestwood. It was like we got rid of the dog.
Yeah. So 2009, we moved to Crestwood, and it was great. We loved it. It was a fun little pocket of the neighborhood on kind of 49th and 7th.
Cool.
So really close to the park entrance on the side there. And in time, Trevor and Lauren Starnes moved in behind us.
Oh, no way.
Wes and Emma Teague were just down
Yeah.
the block from
Yeah.
us. Joel and Angela Blunt were around the corner. There was just a lot of folks that were close by, and we just so much front yard porch swing time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it.
How long were you there?
We moved in 2015 to
Okay.
to
6
Crestline.
years. That's awesome. You miss Crestwood ever?
There are aspects for sure. I really miss that season of life, maybe more than which is wrapped up in the neighborhood.
Right.
But yeah, it's been almost 10 years now in our what still I think of as the new place, but it's the place we've lived the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Crestline a similar vibe to Crestwood over by the park? As far as like neighbors being out and about and front porch hangs and stuff.
Yeah, like our street. Yeah, especially during COVID, everybody got like really close, and kids in and out. You buy extra snacks and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff because kids are just going to be everywhere, and so and my girls, they're coming up on 15 and 12 now, and so not as much like neighborhood play, but that's been huge for the 10 years that we've been there. So, yeah, a lot of neighbor interaction, everything, which has been really awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, because Crestline is, I'm not super familiar with Mount Brook, if I'm being honest. I just know that I love Jemison Trail.
Yeah.
But Crestline would be, is that like where the Saws is? Or where is Crestline?
So that would be where the Taco Mama and Slim's Pizza and all that.
City Hall.
Crestline Bagel.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So are you like super close to that literal downtown area?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so the kids walk to school all through elementary
so
school.
Cool.
They'd walk every morning and back in the afternoon, which was really rad and idyllic in that sense.
Yeah. I was part of a running group one time with like back when I was an intern here with like Jake Petty and Mitch and them. And we would start at Crestline Bagel and we would finish at Crestline Bagel too. We do like the Mount Brook loop. And that like I think because of just the taste of Crestline Bagel after a few miles in freezing cold February, I mean, I will always love that place. I have rose-colored lenses because of the bacon, egg, and cheese with jalapeno sour cream.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
so yummy. That's cool, though. You can walk to Crestline Bagel. Crestline Bagel is today's episode sponsor, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
I wish.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so, Jeff, another question we have for you before we jump into questions, which I do want to return to.
Yeah,
like
tell me about the research that went into this time.
I'll be honest, this sheet of yellow notebook paper, I've never done this.
Oh.
I prepared questions.
I love it.
It's just crazy. Usually I'm just completely seat of my pants. Seat of, no, that's not it. What is it?
Flying from the seat of your pants.
Yeah, flying from the seat of my, yeah. Anyways, so I was right. But,
off the cuff.
so like, we reached out like to start scheduling this podcast a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you've always been like sort of interested in it. But right after the Taylor Swift podcast came out, that was whenever we received the text that said, let's make this happen. I'm curious if there's any correlation.
Oh, I think that's the only correlation.
Directly correlated. Yeah.
No, I actually don't know. I don't know. It was something that I knew we had talked about for so long that if we didn't get it on the calendar, it's probably, it was right around the time that I started using a new calendaring system. And so scheduling has just been amazing lately.
Dude, talk to me about this. What calendaring system are you using?
Today's episode is brought to you by Simply Meat. Yep, that's it.
Simply Meat.
And that's
It's simply with an I at the end and not a Y.
Thankfully, no.
Oh.
So I started using that to manage my calendar better, and so I probably just wanted to type your guys' name into it.
Does it integrate with like Google Calendar?
It does.
That's clutch.
So you don't double book.
Frick.
I was going to say,
it's
I'm
really great.
Highly interested.
Well, it left you with 15 minutes of personal cookie time today.
That's
so
right.
it could do better, I guess.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, man. So you were like, you got a new calendaring system, and you were like, I finally want to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
And when you envisioned like being on a podcast, is there anything that you wanted to talk about today?
Oh, no. No, I kept myself from having my expectations. Like I would start to dream about it during the day, and I'm like, no, don't let yourself.
I did want to say that my preparation for this, I didn't bring any questions, but I rewatched all of the Lord of the Rings.
So
all three of them.
So in our text thread, you've referenced Lord of the Rings a number of times, and I did withhold this until we could sit down together.
Wow.
Okay.
Do you like hate the Lord of the Rings or something?
I have never read the Lord of the Rings.
Really?
I have seen the movies. I saw them in the theater,
Okay.
but I've never read them.
I knew because you're a fan of I forget what C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien's group was called.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I knew you were a fan of
The Knight's Table? Isn't that what they call it?
the Inklings.
Yeah, the Inklings. They would meet up at the Bird and Baby, the Evil and Child pub in Oxford.
I knew you were a fan of them, so I wanted to.
No, I appreciate it very much. You'd be surprised how many people have like a composite of like Joel, Matt, and myself, where they're just like if one of us has said something like like, so I've heard myself be quoted and it be attributed
and
to
it's
other
Joel
people.
or someone else. Yeah.
And you just kind of get used to that.
Yeah.
And like, you're not going to say anything.
Right.
And then also when because Joel has regularly made Lord of the Rings references.
Yeah.
And so they kind of like infer like, oh yeah, because you're really into it. And I'm like, I enjoyed the movies.
Yeah.
But that was kind of it.
Yeah, I've definitely heard like somebody on stage be like, like when somebody gives a testimony or something, like someone that's not a pastor is on stage talking. They're like, all right, sorry, Jeff, I'm going to steal your thing. Here's a Lord of the Rings quote or reference of the month. It's definitely not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you quoted Lord of the Rings or like Hobbit or something?
No, you usually do like
Kierkegaard.
Kierkegaard and like older philosophers.
Is Soren Kierkegaard your favorite philosopher, by the way, or is that just the? Because
I could probably say that.
Okay.
I try not to. I try to be careful with who I quote.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I prefer to quote people that are no longer living is because we know how their life ended. We know how they've kind of finished their race.
Sure.
And a lot of the modern stuff is not. It just needs to be on the shelf a little bit longer.
Need some refining fire.
That's a good point. Because if you're quoting Ravi Zacharias or something like that, nowadays it's probably not the best look.
And then I just find it more interesting to read things that are old and also I think another aspect of that for me is I find personal encouragement in the things that have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
Culture, geography, language. So when we can interact with something that was written 500, 600 years ago that was trying to express and interpret and embody things from the scriptures and the tradition of the faith handed down, there's just something there that helps me. And because that helps me, I hold that out for those that it might be helpful to. Some people don't care. Some people find it annoying. Some people, it's a trope of like, Jeff's going to quote another
old dead guy.
Yeah. And I was like, but that, okay.
Yeah. I honestly think, I've been thinking about that a lot this week. Not to go full, theology mode. But Jeremiah, I think it's like 5 or Jeremiah 6. There's this passage that talks about, maybe it's Jeremiah 16. I can't remember. But it's like, stand by the roads, consider the ancient paths is one of the calls. And it's like, I don't remember the exact wording after that, but it's like, find the pleasant way or like find the glorious way. And I don't know. I think that there is like something incredibly helpful about that. Like whether you're a Christian or not listening right now, like there is something very fascinating that thousands of years ago, a guy was saying, consider the ancient paths. Like that even then he was thinking about the ancient people. He is the ancient people now, and to just consistently look back and think about that. That's like the whole idea of like celebration of old stuff. I think is really cool, and honestly, it takes a lot of the pressure off of me whenever I do speak at gatherings. Is like if you're just like celebrating the ideas of a tradition that the Christian tradition has had for a long time, or like even just in general, like if you work in business and you're just trying to celebrate the traditions of good businessmen that have had that has just been true forever, like I think that's awesome. Like even just something simple like wearing a collared shirt, it's like business people have just enjoyed that forever, and I think it's like just it's like undeniably helpful in the business setting to have like a tie on or something like that, because it communicates something. I'm not here to like judge whether or not that's ethically correct, but there's just something beautiful about considering the way things have been done, and instead of trying to like come up with some sort of like crazy, poke a hole in it and be like the most like modern, cool, amazing new thing. Just consider and celebrate things that are like old dead guys.
Well, I think it's also just the the economy of time, like how much time are we going to spend on ingenuity of all things?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think that there's something particularly helpful in a group of people or an individual, like trying to grow something new, and not just taking everything that's handed down as being the best way or best approach.
Yeah.
Like, I think that we need to look with our own eyes and the fresh articulation of things. But if we're just trying to be clever and to spend a lot of time, energy, resources on being clever, I think we'll be disappointed in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. If cleverity and like originality is your end, like that's a weird end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most people are seeking truth in their lives, and I mean, as believers, we believe that Scripture is kind of the basis of that truth, but it also helps to look back at things that have lasted the test of time, because I think those are founded in truth, because otherwise they wouldn't have lasted. People would have disproved them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to hear someone in their particular culture and time wrestle with these things, it also reminds me that I'm not as unique as I like to think that I am.
Yeah.
I'm not as mysterious as I like to think that I am. I'm not as clever as I like to think that I am. And so it's the healthy deflating of those things. Yeah. So I can also just rest and not feel like it's up to me to come up with the
How do you wrestle with having a sense of confidence in yourself while because to me there's the acknowledgement of your own gifts and understanding yourself and what you're good at, but then there's the humility, kind of like you're referencing, of knowing that you're also kind of just another human amongst billions who have lived. To me, I feel like when I juxtapose those in my brain, I lean towards like a sense of, oh, I'm just some other random guy and I have this desire to like become something important. How do you wrestle with that kind of in between of those two things? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's the first good question, but it's a good question.
You just wait.
Man, that's tough. Like, I don't think that we usually know we're being taught to be humble until some pretty big lessons are in our past. And so I also think that our confidence in any gifting, calling, and all that confidence is chiefly built by community. It's so the affirmation, the encouragement, like we are not the best assessors of our gifting, and when we try to make ourselves that, it doesn't always go well. So we need the community, the family around us to say, "Hey, I see this," and to encourage, to fan into flame, and then that also keeps us from being so self-centered or self-focused. So while we're getting the encouragement to live into our gifting, we're also not the makers of our own destiny and like I know I'm good enough. I know I'm skilled enough. Those voices of encouragement don't have to be coming from myself. There can be genuine words of loving affirmation, and at the same time, those will be the voices that say like, "Hey, you kind of overshot that," or like, "Hey, I think that I think you're operating a little bit more out of personality than gifting," or like, "It's more ambition than it is calling." And so, if you have those voices, that community from the jump, then they're the ones that give you the appropriate amount of encouragement, motivation. You don't have to subsist on your own internal sense. And then they also just help course correct you along the way, which is every person. Every person needs like, hey, like you came on a little too strong there. Like hey, you need to give that another go, or I think you can do better. Like, so if those voices are consistent, and that's one of my arguments for, when possible, when it's part of, in your trusting and walking with the Lord, if you feel like it's possible for you to stay in a place for as long as you can, to have consistent friendships over time, because those people saw you in different iterations of yourself. And sometimes you need to be called back to something and be like, hey, like you don't seem like yourself these days. Or do you remember when this was really important to you? Like, where did that fire start to go out? So having the same people, when possible, again, like we can't just write a script for everyone, but like when possible, I think there is a lot of benefit in sticking around a community, and then weathering the disappointments of that community, and persevering through it. And because if you stick around with people long enough, they're definitely going to disappoint you. But if that's the reason that you bail, if that's the reason why you move on, then you're not really going to stick around for that to be metabolized, where that disappointment is something that's really processed, and the gifts from that disappointment can kind of start to present themselves. That just takes time.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot. So like this, let's see, how do I explain this? I've been thinking about Instagram a lot because of my it's just been coming a lot in communication in my close friendships with guys. And it's just like a strange place when you consider and I'm not even talking about like obviously the rage bait, short form content, entertainment, like brain frying stuff. Like that's people shoot that horse all the time. I'm not here to shoot that horse. I'm just talking about like even whenever you go on, and the one-sidedness of it is so peculiar when you consider it. Like no one has ever, at least to my knowledge, besides before the newspaper, I don't even know how someone could have interacted with something like Instagram besides like gossip, because it's like you're interacting with something, but you're the only one that's able to like form an opinion on it. And like obviously some people are like, oh well, I'm just posting photo dumps of my childhood, or like I'm just like posting stuff I'm doing in my life. But then some people like will post a photo. Obviously, like an example of this would be like if a girl posts a photo in a bathing suit and you're just a guy on Instagram. Like, do you know how weird it would be if I was on a beach just like staring at a girl in a bathing suit?
I do know how weird that would be for you to do that.
And then, or a more like, emotional example would be like Myers' dad passes away. And then Myers tells the world my dad passed away on Instagram. And then I just like receive that from my phone, not from Myers. And then the next time I see Myers in real life, that creates like an uncomfortability. But then like the same sort of thing, if you were to be a guy on Instagram and you were to see a girl like in a bathing suit, if you saw that girl in person, the next time you see her, it would be a different like relationship. It changes the ways things are, and it has this like strange like I'm just saying like the one-sidedness of it and the isolation of it is strange. And I've been considering that a lot in terms of like and rivaling it with like real community, Like I think like the simplicity of pleasure and the simplicity of community is like ultimately a grace and like a kindness to yourself. Because like if you're okay with like not having this endless reach of social media, of like you can always have more people that will consider you. Not you consider them, but you always have more people that you can possibly reach to consider you. It's like there's like this weird emptiness to that. Whereas like, consistency and friendship over time, like Myers like actually knows who I am. You actually know who I am. So whenever like if my dad were to pass away, it would be more normal and like understandable if I were to process that with you and not just like post it on a newspaper that for everyone to be like, oh wow, Steven's, I've been considering that because I literally saw like on Instagram, I was considering how strange it was because I like saw like someone post those two things this summer, and I was being very Soren Kierkegaard minded. I was like, this is like objectively like kind of weird that this is possible in our world.
Yeah, it's a weird part of human interaction now.
Yeah,
that there can be just information transfer without community connection.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's existed in lots of different forms over the generations, but this is just an acutely weird one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who said it, but they made the distinction between transparency and vulnerability. I think that there's a chance that it was Brene Brown she did a talk at Samford many years ago.
You probably misquote somebody. Like happens all the time.
I think it was her. But yeah, the difference between transparency and vulnerability. Transparency is the display of things. So that would be the Instagram post or something like that. So I'm, and a culture of transparency is like I'll show all these aspects of myself or my life or, personal information. So I'm going to display it. But the distinction is with vulnerability, you're inviting the other person to speak back into it. And I would argue like speak back in more than just a comment or an emoji of some kind or something like that. Like you're coupling information with formation with other people to, as you said, like to process or to think it through or to offer comfort. And you can offer comforting words. And I don't want to discredit like as though digital interaction is somehow like false but I think it's just so limited.
Yeah.
And the gift of being able to interact and to say something back and to ask a question or to sit in the silence, because if someone was sharing grief like that, silence is a big part of presence and comfort. And you can't do that with a phone and an algorithm. And like it just, that's not the thing. But to sit with someone. So, I think that sometimes the longing for connection is what motivates the post, but then it doesn't deliver. Like not like presence can. And then if we start to just really immerse ourselves into that platform, what are we missing, like in the day to day, where we think that we know someone because we've had enough transparency, but we haven't actually entered into vulnerability.
Yeah, I think that I was listening to a podcast with a group of guys this past week. Or sorry, the podcast was I was listening to it alone, but it was a group of guys on the podcast. And but they were talking about how it's interesting whenever you work in a situation, like if you're a counselor, if you work with people and deal with emotions, you realize that like people just don't think deeply about their subconscious, or that people just don't think deeply about what they do every day. Like people don't think deeply about why sleep matters, why their morning routine matters, why work matters, why their lunch matters. Like you go throughout the whole day, people just don't think. People have a unique ability to just kind of coast through it. And I almost envy the oblivion sometimes because I feel like I'm constantly there. Jeff, you also are a person that I know that constantly think deeply about your life. But I think it's because of your literary influences.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a first good question.
I'm curious what your literary influences are.
No, I don't know. I mean, I really like books. I feel safe when I'm surrounded by them. But I don't think of myself as I don't know. I just know other people that are so well read. I mean, like
you don't consider yourself well read?
I just know people that are so well read,
Wow. That's kind of like
that's not the question we asked. The question was, what are your influences?
It's like you're in the NBA, man. Like you're not LeBron, maybe. Like I'll side with you there, but like you're in the NBA.
I mean,
when it comes to well read,
like my wife in particular, but also like my kids, like they outread me like crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they read?
And also, I'm a very slow reader, and I approach a lot of my books are kind of like resource reading.
Yeah.
So it's going back to chapters and sections and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But it's kind of all over the place. Brennan Manning was a big influence early on. And then Thomas Merton.
Oh,
was
man.
Another voice that was significant kind of in college for me. Meryl Westphal, who's a Christian philosopher. Then I started reading like more ancient works like John Chrysostom, St. Francis, Augustine. So getting into those voices.
Did you ever read Practicing the Presence of God, Brother Lawrence?
Yes, probably like 20 years ago. So I couldn't.
A student was reading that. He showed me yesterday, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, what a book. Easier talking about dead guys.
Yeah. I mean, a book that was really significant to me when I was about 17 or 18, my cousin gave me a copy of An Arrow Pointing to Heaven, which is a biography of Rich Mullins written by James Bryan Smith.
My dad loves Rich Mullins.
Yeah. It's a dad thing to do.
I think so.
So your dad has been flying. I looked at his Strava yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's, like,
he
running fast
ran like a
nowadays.
really fast run yesterday. Anyway,
That's good.
Brief Strava.
my dad got into running in the last. I ran a marathon in February, and it inspired him to
He ran
start
a half
running.
like what? He ran a half like a month ago or 2 months ago.
a couple months ago, and he
Yeah.
signed up for another one on what would have been his dad's birthday in December.
Let's go.
Which is kind of cool.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, so these people, Thomas Merton, I would probably put him on my list too. He's like his writings on the vow of let's see, vow of stability. I probably quoted that to college students
Yeah.
every other week for like a year, like 1 month. I've been every so for 2 weeks. No, but like for a year, because it is so interesting. Thomas Merton was a monk, and like every monk, at least he's a Benedictine monk, so they have 5 vows, and every like tribe of monks have different. They have different vows, but with you have to live at the same monastery your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what vow of stability is. Thomas Merton has this beautiful thoughts on it. But Thomas Merton is French, and he lived in rural Kentucky his entire life.
He was at the Abbey of Gethsemane in Trappist, Kentucky. He was a Trappist monk, and a lot of his writing, both like his work on the contemplative life, and then also his kind of social justice writings. I think I was about 19 or 20 when I first started reading his stuff.
Huh.
And then I've made a couple of trips to the monastery in central Kentucky, and that Psalter over there is from the Abbey of Gethsemane.
Wow.
I loved his poetry too. Oh, sweet irrational worship. He was a big influence because I'm often looking for writers who talk the way that I think.
Yeah.
Which is committed. Like I want to be committed to what is logical and cogent, and like I want to, but it's also fully susceptible to what is emotional and what is felt and experienced.
Yeah.
Which is where kind of the existentialism and all that kind of starts to fold in. But I studied philosophy at Murray State, and really got into postmodern philosophy during that time, and then moved here, went to Beeson, got did the MDiv program, and I was really interested in just war tradition and kind of thoughts on war and peacemaking. That kind of led me to some other authors during that time, Yoder, Hauerwas, Merton as well, who wrote on peace during that time, Just Peacemaking, and Glenn Stassen. So there are lots of, so really like I kind of just go more topically from thing to thing and then explore around it.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Malcolm Gladwell say, what is just remarking on what is lost by not going to libraries anymore. Because when you go into a library, you look at the book that you were after, but then you have all the things just surrounding it. That's, you know, it's the living footnotes where you go from this to then the next thing and the next thing. And how did that get inspired and who shaped that author's perspective? And so going from philosophy into theology and doctrine, and then I went back in 2012 and did the doctoral program, the DMin program at Beeson. And in that, I started reading more about discipleship, catechisms. All of that was kind of the direction there. Ancient approaches to discipleship and how can that be a part of some of our approaches today, especially things that are kind of the words that I would keep coming to, things that are... is that someone's music out there?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it when people drive by and it's just so loud and it just like rumbles everything in here. And it's an opportunity for me to give them the love that they never got.
People don't think deeply about what they do. Yeah. They don't. You have to think deeply about that for 1 millisecond to be like, this is pretty bad. I bet maybe he does. I hope he or she does today.
I think it's funny. I realized this on the phone with you the other day. We live close enough together that if a loud car drives by or the train goes by while we're on the phone,
we both can hear
we'll both hear it.
That's funny.
That's cute.
We're just trying to emulate that front porch vibe that you had in Crestwood. We are living in the phase of life, the season of life that you miss right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, someone's always doing that, right? Like someone is like the place you want to go to right now, someone is there and they're ready to leave.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone has the job that you want and they're ready to clock out or quit or retire. Someone has the thing you want and they're tired of it and they're bored with it. And yeah, we're always chasing the thing that someone else has already achieved and it didn't do for them what we think it might do for us.
It's like Creed's famous line. Wasn't it Creed?
Take me higher.
So from The Office. That's a great line from a different Creed, though.
Oh.
Creed said, I wish you knew you were in the good old days before they were gone. That might have been Andy.
It was.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Misquoting people, just like
How
Lord of the Rings.
How do you wrestle with, in light of that, how do you wrestle with aspiration? Do you aspire to things like the job, the position in life, the season in life, the whatever?
Yeah,
Would you consider yourself an aspirational person?
No, and it's something that I come back to a lot in prayer. To check in, to see if my lack of aspiration is genuine contentment or malaise. Like, is it like faith grounded?
Huh.
Like, yeah, no, I'm this is actual contentment. Or is it like, I just feel lazy? And more often than not, I find like a confirmation of like, no, like,
yeah,
that's it. Like you're doing the thing. You're hoeing the next row. Like you're doing the work that you were called to do. And I think that too often aspiration is really discontentment. That's just like, there's got to be something better than this. So I got to go chase that thing down. Not always. Some people, like it's a healthy God-given aspiration because they've been given a vision of what something could be and they want to chase after it. And I think that's good and great. But I come back to that a lot because I guess it was about 2000. It was after the pandemic, so it was like 21 or so. And I really was wrestling with that question of, is this contentment or not? And so from that time, that's actually how I'm a young person, because I'm still in school. I'm the old guy with everyone working on their masters. So I've gone back. I'm a year in to a counseling degree, and
alongside my sister.
That's right,
Shout
Mrs.
out
Myers.
Ansley.
And yeah, it's been really good. It's been a lot harder, like more challenging than I had anticipated. Just the amount of time and the workload and all. But it's been so rewarding. The content is so helpful. The cohort, the professors, like, it's just, and so that was another like check-in of, is this holy contentment, or there's some things that I need to be putting particular unique energy into. And in that process, it was to go back to school, to get some more training, to focus some of these things as my work in pastoral ministry has gravitated, moved over time into more and more care related work. That and it's been really good, and I'm really grateful for the chance.
I was talking with one of your other classmates the other day, Chase Apel. And Chase and I were talking about how one of the main reasons that Sanford, so context, at Sanford in like with a kind of a hoity-toity high-up person. And so they know like all the ins and outs of what Sanford's planning on doing, spending their money, their big donation they got. The next thing they're doing is the library. Now they finished the rec, now they finished the dorms, now they finished the parking. So now those are all needs-based things. That now they get to kind of do what they like want to do, and they're redoing the library. And one of the main reasons is because the present-day library, like, still nonetheless exists. Like, for some reason, people want a quiet place to go work quietly beside other people.
Yeah.
But they were like, we just got to get rid of all these books. But when we get rid of all these books, like, what are we going to... We're just going to have empty shelves. So they're kind of using this as a way to go through the hassle of getting rid of the majority of the magazines and, like, old books in the library. And Chase was like, had a visceral reaction. She was like, I hate that I am alive during this time period.
Well, I'm old enough to remember these beautiful trees that were out front of the Sanford Library. And I remember when they were cutting them down. And the idea of getting rid of any of those books feels like cutting down the ancient trees. I remember sitting in Sanford Library and looking at the stacks of books.
Yeah.
And probably to avoid doing actual work, I started counting how many books were per shelf and then how many shelves on a stack. And
yeah, that was still work, Jeff.
Yeah. It just didn't help anyone. But as I was counting it, and then I was like, okay, on average, how many books do I read, in a month, and then that into a year, and then how many of these could I? And I was like, if I really ramped up my reading, how many of these stacks could I actually go through in a lifetime? And I was just sitting there, and I saw like how many I could do, and how many were left.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, even if I dedicated all of this time and endeavored to read and even try to retain some portion of what all these things are, like, it's just I couldn't do it. And that was just a regulating experiment, just to be like, yeah, like you kind of just got here. And this world it's been around for a minute, and you've been here for like half a second, and what is known and what is knowable, and what I know and what I don't know, and what I don't know that I don't know. It's like it just kind of it sets you back just a little bit. I was talking with my youngest daughter, and we were talking about someone that she knows who is an atheist. And I was like, 10 years old and an atheist, huh? That seems like
10-year-old atheist would be a great band name.
It would. I'm sure it's taken. Like that's a bold claim for someone who just got here, you know. And ultimately, great expanse of time and space. We just got here as well, and I think that like when you're studying in a building where the trees outside are twice, 3 times, 4 times older than you are, or more, you might want to slow your roll a little bit about how you think of yourself and your place in this world.
Yeah.
And so reading as cultivating humility, you know, I think that it helps us to see ourselves and our place in the world, especially when we're reading the older ancient writings. It just kind of sets us back a little bit. It does. That's not to belittle our moment or to belittle the thoughts of a 10-year-old in any way. It's more just saying it'd probably be good for us all to slow down just a little bit, and maybe you forming an opinion or a hot take or a response to some national thing. Like maybe we don't need that. Maybe we don't need to hear your take on this thing, and maybe that's okay.
Yeah,
you're kind of perfectly segueing into my sheet of questions. Myers, you look eager to ask something. I don't want to interrupt you.
Well,
how's everybody's Ale 8?
Fantastic.
Empty. That's how it is.
I wanted to ask, how do you find focus?
Oh gosh.
Does it come from your curiosity, or do you think it's presented to you from outside sources as to like what you spend your time on?
That's a good question as well. I think focus is very hard for me, as I think it is for everybody, because there's so many things demanding our attention. Some that are worthwhile, some that are not, some that we want and desire, and some that are uninvited. And what gets my focus is when it connects with the things that I care about. And when it's something that I care about, like it doesn't even the focus is just not a question. And so I would say more often than not, I hyper focus, like I to the neglect of the other things, and I can focus on those. So when I'm sitting with someone, like in a care situation or something like that, I really try to be completely present and there for that interaction. And that can mean that I forget other things of importance. And so that's more the skill that I'm continually trying to work on, is that I can give good focus while not neglecting the other things. So that's where focus is hard for me, but then like really intense focus it also has its drawbacks for me. But when I can have a particular project, when I can have one thing that I'm working through, and that's kind of goes to when I'm reading, it often has a topical approach to it, is like when I can get into a thing, I will sit and explore that thing at length. I love following the footnote to the next thing, and kind of chasing those rabbits, and then who knows where I kind of end up at the end of that. But yeah, it's mostly what is compelling gets my attention. That's why I started studying philosophy. It was the thing that got me out of my dorm room and to class on time. It's what motivated me to do the reading and come in prepared and ready to dialogue, was because it commanded my focus. And then the same thing with, after studying philosophy, I was like, I want to do the same thing with theology, and not knowing that pastoral ministry was really ahead of me.
I had never studied philosophy at all until I got to Sanford. I don't even think I really knew what philosophy was. I don't think I knew that philosophy was a thing. Maybe I did, and I'm just not giving my high school self enough credit. I'm very quick to like bash my hometown, and I need to, and I'm trying to grow in that right now. I feel like there's some things that I've like always just kind of pushed off, because I'm like, like, don't be the boring guy who matures. Like, just let yourself be silly and, goofy. And I feel like bashing my hometown is like kind of one of those areas where I'm like, I'm trying to see more like beauty of how I became who I was out of that kind of thing. But anyways, I genuinely, sophomore year, I was like, I'm just tired of doing homework. I stopped doing all AP classes, and I only did classes where I didn't have homework, because I wanted to be a sports star.
Oh, how'd that work out?
Yeah, I'm in the NBA now, so. But I vividly remember reading Allegory of the Cave my freshman year, and just being bewildered, like thinking about it all the time. And I was just like, that is so, just like the consideration of the first person, was so interesting. And then also like the guy, I forgot, who wrote Dante's Inferno?
Are we really? Is this?
I'm being dead serious right now.
Can you say the title
Dante's again? Dante. Okay, that's what it was. So Dante wrote this book called Dante's Inferno, where he is trying to explain hell, and that was like a fascinating thought process for me in my freshman year, thinking about hell in a deep way. Because it was so like simply given to me in my like my experience in faith growing up, which is kind of, I don't know. I feel like philosophy does make you think about things, and it like sticks with you, which brings me to my first question.
Or I thought we were going to talk about the allegory of the cave for a little bit.
I mean, we can.
Is that what the listeners are really?
Well, the first question is, what do you think of the allegory? No, I'm joking. The allegory of the cave is fascinating. For the listeners that don't know what allegory of the cave is, what is it, Jeff?
Well, I won't go into all of that. I have a story about reading the allegory of the cave.
Oh, talk to us.
So, allegory of cave. It's going into the cave, the person who has seen the outside, and declaring to people who have only seen shadows dancing on the wall that there's like a world outside. That's essentially like the first person who is awake to the world, coming in and pulling people out to say, like, you have to see this. Written by Plato. So we read it in like a Humanities 101 kind of class.
Yeah.
And in Humanities 101, so at Murray State, it's a lot of agriculture majors and kind of work going on around there. And so there was a guy, he would be late to class because he was coming from an artificial insemination class, like a bovine cow insemination class, then coming to sit next to me for humanities.
That's
and
crazy.
So he came in, and we were reading Plato's Allegory of the Cave. And in the discussion time, he raises his hand and he says, "All right, so I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to do the work, whatever the assignment was with it. But I just want you to know that this isn't going to make my corn grow any taller." And let me tell you, I have gone back to that statement probably more than any philosophy lecture that I heard during my time. The appeal of like, hey, I'll think about these things, I'll do the reading, but like, at some point, like I got to go, like the corn needs to grow taller. Like I have, and it's just such a picture or a reminder to me of that's good, whatever this thought is, but what does it yield? Like what difference does that make? Like, sure, like we can talk about the cave and we can talk about the person who sees the world and all of that, but I've got corn that I actually have to go, I've got crops to take care of. And I come back to it with theology and with doctrine and with the scriptures, and it's not a dismissive question. It's what does this yield? What does this do? You know, Psalm 62, which says like, you know, my soul waits in silence before the Lord. And later I pour your heart out before the Lord. Poetic, beautiful. But like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to pour your heart out before the Lord? I know that the people who've done it before, they know what it means. You kind of don't really know exactly what it means until you've participated in it, or you've been so afraid or angry or scared or confused, bewildered, and like until you've been in that place where there's nothing else to do but pour your heart out, then you know what pouring your heart out is. It's not just poetry. It's not just beautiful language that is emotive. It's a call. It's an invitation. And it's phrasing. It's a command.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you trust in the Lord at all times, is that he and grow to know that he is a refuge for you, is in this continual pouring out of your heart. Like, that makes the corn grow taller. Like, that yields something that was not before. And in our theology and our doctrine and our practice, like all these different things, like it should be substantive and transformative. It yields, and it doesn't need to yield loudly or publicly or in a way that gets praise or recognition or acclaim or a platform. It is chiefly quiet, internal yielding of good. And when we can grow in that resiliency as we face challenge and suffering and sorrow, like that's when it presents itself. That resilience that still believes in the face of all the things and all the reasons why we shouldn't.
Who would ever thought that the guy coming from the cow insemination class was going to provide probably the most philosophical statement of the entire year?
I know, and I never saw him again. He could have been an angel.
Wow.
Probably
He probably
was.
was.
He probably was.
I'm even having a hard time conceptualizing the life that man must have lived for his like metric of life success, like his metric of happiness, his metric of success, his metric of, you know, whatever his end was the height of his corn.
I think it was the results of his toil.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, end of the day, like he needs to harvest the corn, and he needs corn that's grown in the sun and healthy and vibrant. Like it's so much of his effort is for that yield when the harvest comes.
Yeah.
And I also I think he probably had heard someone else say that before. Maybe his dad or his grandfather. And it's not, I don't know. There's a lot to mine out of it.
Like, it's almost like, you know, like Plato was incredibly stubborn towards the culture in order to write something like the allegory of the cave. It's incredibly pretentious to write something assuming that you are the one trying to take people out of the cave. It's very like offensive almost in a way, but it's incredibly helpful. And I'm like, almost in a way, I'm like, there's philosophy majors there that are like obsessed with considering, but like I felt like he literally is like he's more similar to like Plato than he's like saying something that's like incredibly fascinating. That's very like not like offensive, but very like conversary vibes. Like it's very like it's not comfortable to like sit with that thought. And I feel like it's almost like that would be like how I would define art, is like something that demands an emotional response, whether it's like good or bad. If you're able to like look at something and feel apathy, I just don't think it's artistic. But I feel like that's how I would define an artistic thing, is like something that demands some sort of emotional response. And that, like, it's hard to hear that without thinking of something. Like that guy's so terrible, that guy's so annoying, that guy's so country, that guy's so awesome, that guy's so wise, that guy, whatever, that guy's such a good farmer. I guess that's what he wanted you to think. But either way, like, I feel like that demands that's like an incredibly artistic thought, in my opinion. So that's why I'm sitting here wondering.
I think
it's like I wonder if he ever, or maybe he's just playing the game, dude, and he knew the whole time.
Turns out he was into philosophy.
Yeah.
I think the way that I've wrestled a lot with, I had a relatively similar upbringing to you, Stephen, at least in the place I grew up. Small town Southern America. And I didn't necessarily love the culture that I grew up in, but the way that I've begun to appreciate it is understanding that those little phrases, the little one-liners that your grandpa said, there's like a deep truth that they don't necessarily know how to articulate, maybe, but that's hidden in those kind of statements. That's like, it's good and fine to sit around and think on stuff, but at some point you do need to like provide for your family. Like that is true. That is good life advice, even if it seems simplistic.
Yeah, I think it is wise for us to open ourselves up to wisdom from lots of different places. And also just to listen. Like that was kind of the reason that I still ruminate on those words 20 plus years later, is because I was listening that day, and maybe not listening well, and I might not have listened to other things, and but for that moment I was listening, and then I took it in and considered, and so to be surprised, to be willing to listen broadly and be surprised at what wisdom might be there, and what truths, and kind of like that picture of the library, like, yeah, you're hearing this thing, but could it lead to deeper truths or deeper reflection of my own soul, and just a willingness to lean forward and engage, even in the most kind of like mundane of places, instead of just filling it with all the things that are just going to maybe pacify us for a time, keep us from being bored. I mean, boredom is self-inflicted in the fact that if you're paying attention to just what's going on around you, there's no room to be bored. But if you dismiss people because they're not high academic enough, or they don't seem interesting, or like those are the times, like that's us forfeiting the opportunities to grow, and forfeiting opportunities to grow in wisdom, because we're so dismissive, and we think that we'll just keep going back to the same wells, and then our own biases and those things start to play in, where it's like, well, I'm the echo chamber of just of sameness that we're willing to get into. There was a philosophy class that I took. I think it was philosophy of art, and someone was talking about It was when Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ came out, and they were talking about how offensive it was, terrible, offensive, and they had all these bad things to say about it. And then somebody else brought up Bowling for Columbine, and they were like, "That is propaganda. It's this like liberal agenda stuff," and because that documentary was about gun violence, and so. And after there was kind of this back and forth of like propaganda, the Christian right propaganda of Passion of the Christ, and then there's this, Second Amendment attack on Bowling for Columbine. And I said, who's watched these films? I said, who's watched Bowling for Columbine? Half the room raised their hands. I said, who's watched The Passion of the Christ? Not as many people raised their hands. I was like, who's seen both? And my hand was the only one that was up. And I was like, then how are we having this discourse right now when like we haven't had the same interaction with the material. We haven't had the same exposure. Now that doesn't mean that you can't form an opinion or that you can't read a synopsis of something. Like you don't have to have seen and done everything to be able to talk about it. But to have productive discourse, to actually have deep engagement, then we need to know what we're talking about. I don't tell that as a hero story. There are plenty of times where I was definitely the dumbest person in the room. But
like when the farmer guy was there.
Yeah, we all yield to him.
We all fell second to the cow insemination guy.
But yeah, just a willingness. So I even in that, like to listen broadly, to read broadly, to engage things, like to build up your resistance training, even like exposing yourself to different views that you're against, but can you listen to it without your heart rate going crazy? Can you sit there and listen without just waiting to talk? Like, learning to listen, it might be one of the greatest disciplines, like spiritual disciplines. Life disciplines for sure, but spiritual disciplines. Like, can you sit long enough and learn to listen? Especially when, and I would call it resistance training, is when you're listening to someone that you disagree with. Now, if they have an unhealthy influence over you, if it's that kind of a thing, like there are obviously times when an open mind knows when to close things out. It's a David Ramirez line. And so we want to know when to shut some things out. But there's a lot to gain from just learning how to listen through with someone that we massively disagree with and still pay attention to what they're saying, pay attention to their humanity, and show that grace.
I think that is something that I think that's like a very peculiar place in our country these days for people to have because what am I trying to say? Like the polarization idea of like, you have to be on one side or the other. It's very easy. And one thing that you and I have talked about a lot, Jeff, is how a lot of people want to resort back to like logical law. Like it's like because it's like a blanket. It's like it's cozy because you're doing the right thing. You can, if your logic checks out. But the truth is in the tension. Like the truth is somewhere like along the way. It's not something to be, I think you know what I mean. But being able to play because I think a lot of people would respond in a lazy way and be like, oh, well, you're just a pacifist because you're not being opinionated. But still maintaining the ability to have a formed opinion about something for sure, but being able to hear someone out and disagree with them and not feel this like immense need to like be a part of the argumentation of it is I think that's incredibly rare. It's almost fascinatingly rare because the rage that people have the capacity to live with because of it.
Well, I think it often goes back to a a misunderstanding of the value of an opinion. Like, the value of your opinion is chiefly to yourself,
Yeah.
not the rest of us. So you exporting your opinion out to the rest of us, like, might be unnecessary.
Yeah.
So that's not pacifism. I think it's also utilitarian.
Sure.
Like, I want to utilize my opinions to their greatest end.
Yeah.
And that's more about my heart, my life before the Lord, and to the good of the community around me.
Yeah.
And me just espousing, shouting, and providing my opinion. Like, I haven't, maybe it's more that I haven't benefited that much from other people's opinions. And so it's hard for me to fathom that my opinion is going to do so much good for everybody else.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I love about the work of and craft of preaching is that you are tethered to the scriptures. Like, no one needs to hear my opinion on a Sunday. Like, that makes no sense to me. So it's not Hot Take Sunday. Like, it's not me getting up there and just like, well, what are my grievances? What bee is in my bonnet? Like, who cares? Tell me what's true. And then let me take that truth, mull it over, question it, wrestle with it, yield to it, submit to it. Let the truth of the Lord transform me. Then, like, that's of lasting good.
Yeah.
But someone's opinion is an ice cream cone that's already melting. Like, that will not keep. It will not serve me later. Like, it has a finite life, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
How do you discern the difference between, like, how do you know if something is someone's opinion versus truth?
Yeah, because sometimes they shout them just as loud, like, or emphatically.
Mm-hmm.
I measure it against what I believe to be the truth of the scriptures and how I best understand it. To quote Rich Mullins, we were not given the scriptures to say that I am right and you are wrong. We were given the scriptures to say that God is right and the rest of us are just guessing. So I will consider the opinions of others and I will weigh the opinions of others, but my convictions will be born out of the truth of the scriptures. And so I will hold it next to these things. And maybe it's challenging, and maybe it's challenging my interpretation, my how I have understood that truth to be. And maybe there's some good, a refining good in that process. But the most relevant word is always the truth of the word, of the scriptures. That is the most pertinent word to the matter at hand. Now, that doesn't mean that the scriptures were given to us as a science book or a biology book or a history of all existence. Like, it sets out to do what the Lord intends it to be and to do, which means, like, there are limitations to its content and purpose. But whatever is being told, whatever is being shared, I hold that against what I have understood to be the truth. And then also recognizing that my relationship to the truth is ultimately that I am not obtaining the truth. I've been obtained by the truth, and the truth is ultimately the person, Jesus Christ. That's what I believe. So that is going to be my starting point as I try to navigate and understand what other people are saying, and to weigh their opinions and see if I might share that opinion. But I want to be careful with what is being shaped in me by opinion and what's being shaped by conviction that is based in the truth.
What book do you think about the most? Like in your day in and day
The
out
most
life.
often,
Yeah.
I think about 2 books really frequently. And they are both chiefly children's books. I think about The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis, where there's a character whose mother is really sick, and he goes to this other character, Aslan, kind of the god figure, and he goes to him and he's asking for help, like something that will heal his mother. And he talks about how Diggory has like this sadness in his eyes, like his grief over his sick mother. And he says, and I could see in Aslan's eyes that he cared even more than I did. And so in doing like the work of care, I have to yield to the reality that the Lord cares more about this situation than I possibly could. And that also motivates me to be the embodiment, the body of Christ that's going to have compassion in our eyes for those who are hurting. But being able to rest that he cares more. And in Diggory's eyes, like he had the depths of, he's trying to save his mother's life and he is desperate. He is absolutely desperate. But the compassion is even deeper in Aslan's eyes. The other book is The Velveteen Rabbit, where there's this, it just talks about how what makes us real is love. We are loved into living. We are loved into reality, full reality. And the idea that that I'm both being and becoming who I am, who I am to be and already am. Like I'm learning to become who I already am in Christ. I'm learning to feel and live and function. I'm becoming who I already am. And so I don't have to question and be fearful about am I that yet? It's that is situated and fixed. It is a fixed truth, who I am in Christ, and I'm becoming that as well. So I get to experience in real time the becoming of who I, in that sense, like eternal expanse already am in him, and that my location, my place, my position is in him, and that fixed reality helps me deal with the fact that I am not experiencing in real time who I am. There is so that longing is expected.
Yeah.
It's okay. But I can also hold to the promise that I am becoming who I already am.
What is your ideal 5 to 9?
My ideal 5 to 9, like day shift.
No, your 9 to 5 is your day. Your 5 to 9 is your
5
night.
to. Okay. We're going through the night.
No, like 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, I thought we were just going to circle back to
You could,
9
I guess
a.m.
you could go all the way. That would be
Oh
kind of
no,
cool.
I mean, I really enjoy cooking for my family, and so when they're going to be home while I'm cooking and like coming in and out of the kitchen and like talking about their day, I've got a teen and preteen, and so when they like really like want to sit down and just like catch up, like that's the best.
Yeah.
If it's something that can like simmer or hang on the stove for a while, and then Jess and I can go sit on the front porch and just catch up, the two of us, like that's it. Like that's as good as it gets. And then sharing the meal together. Later in the evening is like, so in the colder winter months and everything, like building a fire, I told you that my kids and my wife are much better readers than me, but when we all four have books next to the fire, playing chess with my kids, that stuff, I mean, that's tops for me.
Do you think that you've like, you know, me and Myers, we don't have kids yet, Lord willing. Do you think that we even have the capacity to understand how amazing that feeling is? Like, do you think, like, is it better than you ever thought it would be?
Yeah. Yeah, it's better and harder than I ever thought it would be. It's, yeah, I think it's like a Dawes line. If you can give your heart to someone, then you should. Like giving your heart to your spouse and your kids is more fulfilling than any other endeavor or accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know, it's the Ben Rector, like the richest man. Like it's being truly known by a few, and then the love of the family. Like spending time with them is just always the best, even when it's really hard or we're in a really tough or bad season. Like we've gone through those for sure. Whether it's like parenting struggles or marital struggles, like it's not because it's easy, it's because it's good.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of like the covenant life of marriage and the gift of children is like, it is not easy, but it will be good. And in that good, it's also working our good through it. So
I feel like I've only been married we had our third year anniversary in July. Shout out Gracie. And I've been thinking about this a lot because Gracie just finished nurse practitioner grad school. And I feel like in a way I got my wife back a little bit because she's been working and doing clinicals so much. And it's insane how refreshing it is to get, because also context, she was working like 6 days a week, pretty much all day long whenever she was doing that. So it was fun. I got to hang out with the boys a lot more this past year, but like there's something like oddly like soul refreshing about spending time with your spouse, like spending time with your wife, that is only possible with that person. Like I don't know how to explain it other than like you just have to experience it and you'll agree with me. But getting to like today, getting to sit and, you know, through the hell of the tax assessment office of the courthouse and getting Gracie's like license plate thing. And then also Gracie got the license plate Euro, like GYR0 today. And so we celebrated for lunch. We went to Aki's and got Euros. And which, by the way, hard send Aki's in downtown, like by Salute and Zaza. That place the Euro was amazing. And the woman, presumably the owner, because she acted like she owned the place, was so kind. But anyways, like that vibe is unobtainable with like a buddy or like my mom or something like that. Like it's only possible like with your spouse. So I've been thinking about that a lot this week. So I feel like I can relate in a little bit. And also this is kind of funny. This is coming up right now because this was Gracie's question. She presumed, or she like offered. Also, I've been asking questions from my yellow notebook sheet. I've been trying to for quite a while. The first one was, what book do you think about the most? And for all you listeners and for us as we re-listen, you can see how many times I tried to bring it up over the past hour, I think in retrospect. But anyways, she was curious about your 5 to 9 because she thinks it's fascinating. We talked about this before, that you go and grocery shop like day off.
Yeah.
You're very European in that way.
Yeah,
and
in
like,
a lot of ways. In a lot of ways.
But she wants to know like what's your process like in your 5 to 9 when you go to the grocery store, even like zoom in there, like double click on the grocery store, like well, I guess you're not gonna go home and cook today because it's already like 7 p.m. But like tomorrow when you go home and you're like at the grocery store on the way home, like how are you picking what you're cooking?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely changed now that with the kids, I'm checking in like what did they have for lunch? What have they already eaten? What sounds good?
Yeah.
What do we have time for? So like just the how long it takes to prepare different things. If the kids are coming right out of like a volleyball game or practice, like they're going to be hungry immediately, then so timing is a big part of it. But yeah, it's checking in with everybody, which is part of the fun, is that it's communal, you know?
Yeah.
Now there are times where there's something that I've been wanting to make. And so I've like researched a couple of recipes or something like that. And so I'm pretty dedicated, like, hey, I want to do this. Is that cool with everybody? Like that kind of a thing. But yeah, and then it's seasonal, you know, like what do we got? So my drive home, I can make it either by the Greenwise or the Piggly Wiggly and Crestline. And so some of it's just like what I know I can get and get out.
Yeah.
But I really like the rhythm because, you know, so much of the work that I do doesn't have a timer go off that says it's done.
Yeah.
It's life. You know, it's slow progress. It's tending and caring and you know, maybe writing things or teaching things. It's just it doesn't have like a finishing point like preparing a meal, which has an immediate, like it has an end. You know when it's done. You can see if it was good or not, and then it accomplishes its ultimate goal of nutrition. Like it's it's just so it's a recipe. There's a formula. There are steps to take, and then there's also a last step.
Yeah.
And so much of pastoral ministry, there aren't known steps or established steps. It's more just kind of like making your way in the dark, and then it doesn't have like that clear, clean resolve of job well done, like that worked. And so having something daily that is like that, I think is part of why I gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself to be a creative person?
I like to create. So yes.
How do you live that out? Like what are your creative endeavors?
It's everything from painting. I really enjoy painting and try to do more of that.
I saw the one you made for Tata. It's amazing, by the way.
Oh, thanks. So painting, music. I started writing music. I started playing guitar when I was 7, and then writing music kind of in my teen years and all of that, and playing out and about. And so in that more recent years, you know, in my like mid-20s onward, which isn't recent, but in that time frame, more writing, you know, writing stories, sermons, that kind of stuff. And I really enjoy making things. So, yeah. And then my kids are also really, they're very creative and they like to make things. And so we go to Alabama Art Supply frequently to buy paints and canvas and
my ex-girlfriend's grandmother owns that place.
I will tell her hello next time I'm there.
I think
I can check on that for you. I'll let you know.
He'll be there, you know, in a couple days.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like a couple weekends ago, my oldest and I, we just sat on the back deck here at the office and painted for a while. And it's cathartic in that sense. Like it's just nice to that's another just like steps and systems of getting something to completion that feels really nice. And then just thinking creatively and like the artistic approach and all of that. I don't think that there's a particular one that I'm all that good at, but I enjoy creating.
I think it's strange how creativity, however it is, I think it's possible. Like I've experienced this even creating a budget spreadsheet, like literally creating anything that is like a personal expression of like your experience of the world a gateway. It is a weird, like, you know, I don't know what those are called in like the freaking Iron Man movies, but like those like portals to like other universes. This is a weird portal towards like your sonship to a higher being, or to your daughtership of a higher being. Like it is a way to experience what I'm presuming to be neurologically equilibrium, like really quickly. And the feng shui of it is something that I think should get talked about more often, because what people are, I think that I'm going to try to explain this quickly. I just watched a documentary of this guy who did 30 days, no phone. He literally put it in a lockbox. He could not get it for 30 days. He deleted messages off his MacBook. Like, he only worked. So he had like Slack and email. Like that was like the only thing he had left. And he did brain results like before and after. And it was like crazy. For sustained attention, he was in the first percentile on his first brain scan, and he was in the 67th percentile after 30 days. And the neurologist was like, this is absurd. Like, this should be like, I'm curious like how much traction this thing's going to get. It was one of those YouTube videos that was like 45 minutes long.
Is it Matt DeVelio or whatever his name is?
I mean, I'm presuming there's only one guy. I don't know his name, but he was like, there's probably only one guy on YouTube who did this. But he a lot of time he kind of got to this point where he started crashing out like 2.5 weeks in. And he realized, he kind of like videoed himself in a counseling meeting talking about how he like alcohol is not the problem. What you're trying to mask with alcohol is the problem. If you're an alcoholic, he used to be an alcoholic. That's why he was talking about it. But it's the same sort of thing. Like, phone addiction is something that you do to like mask another problem. And the reason that I'm talking about that right now, when it comes to creativity, is when you go to create something, it's a helpful end towards the processing of things, because it's like an escape away from it in a way, but it's also like a way to process something. Like, so if you have like paint, like if you're doing art through the medium of painting, like there's nonetheless like what you're creating is an expression through like color and ink on a any sort of palette. That is, you're expressing how you are feeling, but it's not like you're escaping into an algorithm that doesn't actually make you process how you're feeling. It's just like you're escaping into something that doesn't actually exist, sort of like an intoxicated state. Like, you think that you're feeling something, but it's not actual. Like, it's not real. It's not reality. But I feel like when you create, I mean, we've talked this before, but I'm a carpenter, and I like love geometry. I love when things, you do a mathematic equation on a sheet and you create something that you get to enjoy in a room. Like, that is a weirdly like amazing experience for me. Whether it's like a desk or I think chairs are the best because you get to enjoy chairs. Like, every chair you've ever sat in, somebody freaking built that. Like, that, just think about that for a while. Like, somebody made the math for that armrest that you like. Like, that's a crazy thing to consider. But I feel like that should be talked about. People should get more excited about that. I think because
chairs in particular.
Specifically, yes. I think that if everyone went and built a chair and then like edited the chair to make it amazing, that would take them their entire life. They would never finish making a chair. Like, it's like weird. It's like a lamp. Like, you're never okay with the lamps in your house. Like, when you think about like, whenever you think about like something in your house, like you could replace. Lamps are like kind of one of the first things that you're kind of always looking. Like, if a lamp catches your eye at the store, you're like, I could probably use another. Like, my lamps aren't sufficient. You know what I mean? Same with the sofa. Same with the like wall color. Everybody's trying to change things when it comes to design, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I'm getting on kind of a tangent right now, but I feel like it's like Instagram is like the red herring. Like, the problem isn't Instagram. The problem is like it's like what you're trying to escape from. And I think offering like a secondary way instead of just like bashing what you are doing, the secondary way of being like, hey, when was the last time you painted? Like, when was the last time you pencil sketched? When was the last time you wrote poetry? Is a more helpful question than like, what's your screen time? You know?
Yeah. Well, with the when we're using something to mask, when the mask comes off, like there's usually a scramble for a different mask.
Yeah.
And something like creative outlets, because they're expressive, like the thing that's been masked actually has a chance to breathe and to find its way out and to be expressed in some manner through that creative work, rather than not only keeping it all in, but putting some type of facade over it that keeps it, like seals it in. So it doesn't even, like that's, to where the masking habit becomes like the tomb, that the things that we are feeling that need some type of expression, need some type of processing and outlet, that mask is just keeping it in. And so, as you said, it's not necessarily the mask's fault, but if that's how it's being utilized and it's achieving that end, well, if it means that I don't have to process through and face some of these things, then let's just keep as many masks on the ready as possible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to have to really look at this stuff, and then I don't know what's going to happen after that.
Yeah.
Because, and so when you are creating and it is expressive, it's dangerous and risky, because you don't know what all is going to be expressed if you really take the mask off.
Yeah. I think music is another thing, which you play. Do you play any other instruments besides guitar?
Not really.
Okay. You're an amazing guitarist, so
Oh,
good
thanks.
good use of your time there. Back to our library discussion of there's
Yep.
millions of instruments. You've chose one, but I think music is a fascinating thing when it comes to this, because when you play an instrument, it's not like, I guess now you can record it pretty easily, but a lot of times whenever I talk to people that are musicians that are like good at playing the guitar or pianist or whatever, and they talk about the times where they're expressing something in a similar way to what we're talking about when it comes to painting, they're just like spontaneous. The record button is not on. Like they're just kind of at the house messing around, getting things out that they feel. And I think it's interesting that when you deal with mediums like painting or carpentry or whatever it is, you're building something that you can see afterwards. But with music, it's just that moment. It's like one of the reasons I think jazz is so addicting to consider, or so addictive to some people. Because some people like go into jazz or blues and they never leave. Like it's like a deep, dark hole. But jazz is like completely spontaneous, and you can only enjoy that then. I think that's why whenever you go to old vinyl stands, like to places that are like old records, not new records, there's like Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong have like 69,000 records, I swear, because they just did like live in Tokyo, live in Sao Paulo, live in LA in 2000 or 1964, live in LA in 2000, or I keep saying 2000, 1965. But like jazz is one of those places, because that idea of you have to be there, like you have to experience it in that moment, is also interesting. Which brings me to my next note, yellow piece of paper question, which is the best albums of all time. And I'm not just going to say best album of all time. I've given you categories here. One, we're going to start because we felt the first cool breeze this week. So I have to ask, like, what is the best autumn album of all time? I'd love to hear yours too, Myers, as well.
Yeah, best autumn album would be Jay Tillman's Year in the Kingdom.
We'll link it below. I've never heard of that. Jay Tillman. Tell us about it.
You have heard of him. He goes by a different stage name now, and that would be Father John Misty.
Oh, he came with an album before
Father John Misty. He did these acoustic records, like solo acoustic stuff. I think some of it was while he was the drummer.
Fleet Foxes.
Yeah, for Fleet Foxes. But Year in the Kingdom in particular would be the fall record.
I was going to say Bon Iver's self-titled album.
Yeah.
That's like when autumn weather comes, that's the first thing I find myself turning on.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like Bon Iver is like just so classic. I mean, this is my
Brat.
No, there's like
Just looked over, I saw neon. I was like, Charlie XCX.
I love listening to Bill Evans in the fall.
Oh yeah.
But he has a song called Autumn Leaves. I've never looked
Yep.
at what album it's on. Oh, it's just called Portrait in Jazz by Bill Evans. But if you just want to immediately be transported into the fall vibe, Bill Evans is like, he has an ability.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we were talking about this earlier, figuring out about things through like cringe mediums. Like I figured out about this gospel singer last week through the Justin Bieber album. His name's Marvin Winans. I've been listening to him all week. I literally figured out about Bill Evans because Ted Lasso.
Oh.
Did you watch Ted Lasso?
I did not.
Okay. Well, at the end of the second season, the team manager, like this guy that like is kind of just like an old guy who works there, took this younger player who's like trying to figure out, his identity and stuff, to the red light district in Amsterdam, but he wasn't talking about like the prostitute district. Apparently, there's another district in Amsterdam that's like known for jazz, and they played Bill Evans in this scene, and I've been listening to Bill Evans ever since. That's my best album.
Nice.
Autumn album of all time.
I sign off on both of those.
Yeah. Okay, best inspiring album of all time.
Inspiring. Inspiring to what end? Do you have any direction with that?
Inspiring was really the only direction I had for you. Like if you're sitting there and you're it's kind of a dull day.
Mm-hmm.
What record are you throwing on to like feel inspired?
Oof, I've got a few. People in the offices and stuff will let you know that if I am listening to Elvis gospel music really loud, I am either having the best day ever or the worst day ever. So that's a go-to, because it's gonna get me. Like Elvis, Peace in the Valley is gonna get me every time. Like if there's something better than that, I have not heard it, and frankly don't want to.
I love that.
Other things, Alabama Shake, Sound and Color.
Yeah,
I won't put that one on all the time. I mostly listen to instrumental music here, so ambient stuff. Jeff Martin's or Brian Eno, Khruangbin. Like they're like a lot of. I really enjoy instrumental music, but I'd say inspiring. Yeah, it's probably Elvis gospel. Like that's just gonna hit me every time, and I'm gonna. I listen to a lot of Martin Denny. That would be another. So he's like the godfather of Exotica. So Martin Denny would be another just go to. I have almost every record he's put out on vinyl, and so that's a. I love me some Martin Denny.
You talked about him before. Exotic is a fascinating idea. You should tell people about it. What is that? What is that, Jeff?
So Martin, like his sound and everything, developed. He was in Hawaii, was a band leader, and so they were mostly like indoor, outdoor, like clubs, that kind of stuff that he was playing at. Les Baxter was also in that mix, and so a lot of people that played with Martin in those kind of early years have went on to make their own Exotica sound and all, but there's it's kind of Polynesian influenced. Some, I would say, South American sounds are also in there, but it's heavily on the rhythmic end, and then like marimbas and so a lot of percussive sounds. And then one of my favorite things just about, especially Martin Denny's work, is that because they were playing indoor, outdoor, animal sounds would often happen like in the live, performances. And so they replicated like bird calls and frog sounds and all kinds of stuff in their recordings.
That's so cool.
And I just love it. It's one of my favorite genres of music, and it's it's there are people that still kind of do it today, but not as much. And I like that, like more of the 50s, 60s sound of it. So
I think it's interesting too from that I feel like I can't remember how to pronounce it. Is it bossa nova or bossa nova?
Bossa nova.
Bossa nova. But that bossa nova sound from like South America does that sometimes, like the samba, like chimey stuff.
Yeah.
But then I think it's interesting whenever you go to the Southern Europe take on it. I think we've talked to this before. Like when Italians and French people do their take on bossa nova, it's also a fascinating, like, I love when people like kind of create subgenres out of that bossa nova sound, because there's something really cozy about it, but also like really fun. And after I don't remember when you told me about that Martin Denny Exotica record, but I listened to that I remember it being like springtime or something. It was like it went with the vibe of the season, which I'm really grateful for. Give it a listen, everybody. What you got, one, Myers? What do you listen to whenever you want to be inspired?
I couldn't really think of necessarily an album. I have a playlist. I think it's called Targa Music.
Let's go.
Because it's music that makes me want to roll the windows down and put the top down.
Yeah.
When I'm driving, and that's like when I feel most inspired by music. I don't have a convertible, but like theoretically, and a Targa is a type of convertible. But a song I thought of was "Out for a Breather" by Dad Sports.
Yeah,
that sort of
vibe takes you back.
Is like the sound that gets me most inspired. It's kind of like a surf rock dream pop sort of sound.
Surf rock dream pop, great band name. I think for me, there's this dude. His name's Masakatsu Takagi. He has this thing called the Marginalia Project. He's come out with, I think, over 200 songs that are a part of this project. But he has a piano in like one of his rooms. He lives middle of nowhere in Japan in this little mountain town. And he opens up the windows, and to your point, there's just like a lot of just natural stuff. Sometimes his wife will come in and sing on them. Sometimes she won't. And I got a record. I was just like addicted to it, like probably starting around 2 years ago. And I asked for it for Christmas, and I just like randomly, my grandmother was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I sent her a link to it. And it had to ship from Japan because he only prints them at this like local vinyl shop for him.
I really hope that she's on like a mailing list now. Like that she just like regularly gets
from this like
stuff in Japanese.
But it was crazy. It is my do you use Discogs?
Mm-hmm.
It's my most valuable vinyl now because he doesn't like print them.
Mm-hmm.
And or he doesn't print which I had no idea, which I kind of love whenever I stumble into things like that.
Yeah.
I think another one is I was fascinated you didn't say 1975 because I feel like that brings you back to who you are. I go back and listen to stuff that made me originally get into music and like dream a lot. So this is super cringe to a lot of people, but Coin has a song or an album called "How Will You Know If You Never Try." It's actually the acronym of that, like HI or HWK, whatever. And I go back and listen to like the OG songs that made me like really love music a lot. And and then my buddy Zion has a song called Dove that every time I listen to Dove I want to cry. And then he also has a song about several parts in our life that we lived together and that he like wrote about. And I think that genuinely transports me like right into an emotional state. Like it's hard to listen to that without becoming some sort of inspired.
Inspirational is so broad.
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint.
Yeah. It is. That is actually, I don't think I realized how, I don't think I realized how difficult of a word that was going to be. I thought everybody was just going to be like, freaking Seven Nation Army. I don't know.
Because like I do love the 1975, but I would say that's more like a nostalgic sound to me, because that's like high school through college for me, as opposed to inspirational that kind of is more like motivating, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we can move on to the next one. Okay. Best fun album of all time.
You mean the band Fun?
F you, no. I knew as soon as I said that, I was walking right into that one.
I think it's Some Nights.
Some Nights, the only one.
It's the best Fun album.
No, just for if you're trying to have a fun time, like whatever you consider to be the funnest vibes, like, you know, dancing with your pals, with your fam, with your, like, you're at the beach, maybe you're
okay.
Maybe it's like, oh, here we go, Jeff. Here's my idea of your funnest vibe. You're in the West.
Okay.
You just fly fished.
Okay.
You're camping around a fire that somehow everyone in your family is like stoked to be there to camp too. And you just ate a good dinner.
Yeah.
And you got music thrown on and you're like boogieing during s'mores time. What's playing in that moment?
It's probably Van Morrison or Jerry Garcia.
Great.
Probably the Jerry Garcia is like there's a live record that, geez, I think it's just called Pure Jerry.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that would just start to finish, that live record would that definitely makes its way on there. And then Van Morrison is just like good time music for my family.
Yeah.
So that's just associated with like we're camping or we're at the beach or like that kind of those tunes, those particular records follow us to all those places.
I love that.
What's the album that has Close to You on it from Dayglow? Is that one his self-titled album?
Something People. Yeah. Or maybe Something Emotion. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though.
I would have said that album.
Yeah.
That's like we just got to the beach and we rolled the windows down and everybody's excited. That's probably what I put on.
Yeah, I love that. Mine's got to be Real Estate self-titled album. I just like love Real Estate so much. And my like ideal vibe would be like, you know, kind of the sunburnt post day at the beach. We've gathered in and we're like cooking something up and we're just like hanging out back porch,
throwing knob.
The vibes are high. Just a good time, you know. Real Estate. Or I got Atlas by Real Estate the other day on vinyl, and I've been loving playing that. So just something like that. Just a little surf rock, dream pop.
Come on.
All right, that concludes our best album of all time, and now our fourth question from the note sheet and final question, and presumably final question of the podcast. We've been going 2 hours.
Yeah.
Biggest misconception of Kentucky.
Oh, I can't imagine someone having a negative connotation or thought, or what could someone
about Kentucky?
what are people saying on the streets?
No, I mean, it's kind of interesting that you just presumed that the misconception would be negative or something like that.
Well, is that not
a misconception? Could be like, I don't know, maybe Kentucky's big, or maybe Kentucky's small.
I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what the misconception is: that it's the South.
Yeah, I like that.
You wouldn't consider Kentucky to be part of the South?
I didn't say that. What I will say is that I grew up thinking that I grew up in the South, and then I moved to Alabama. And then I was like, nope.
This is different.
This is the South. This is particular.
Like, tell us about it, because I feel like that's what I hear about Kentucky. And my brother lived in Louisville for a little bit, so I kind of understand. But it definitely reminds me of, like, Louisville reminds me of Cincinnati a whole lot more than it reminds me of Birmingham. Like, I feel like Ohio, when you go to Cincinnati, you're officially in like the Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
Or like St. Louis.
Yeah, so there are definitely parts of Kentucky that feel very Southern, and there are lots of like cultural things that are Southern in their history and all that. But also it's like it's a convergence of lots of different Midwest Southern cultures all together. So that's why I say it's not definitive. It's not just that thing. Can you find that? For sure. Is there lots of there are plenty of things in Alabama that remind me of Kentucky, vice versa. But I think it's that it is it's not only Southern influenced.
Yeah,
is what I would note. And yeah, I'm trying to think of other things that people would presume about the state, and I would say many of those things are true. So I grew up in a small town.
A holler?
There were a couple of hollers, 3 or 4 hollers. Yeah, it was. I loved it. I love going back and visiting. We were in Louisville and Lexington this past weekend, and so I love it, and I miss the people most of all, and then I miss a lot of just Kentucky things. But yes, I don't know what other misconceptions there may be.
I think it's one of those states that I feel like this happens when people think about the Midwest. I feel like it might get lumped in with, besides basketball. Obviously, everybody knows Kentucky basketball. But I remember taking my 50 states. I was reminiscing on this past week because Iowa played Iowa State in football. When I took my 50 states test, I literally wrote, it was like you wrote Alabama in Alabama, and then you wrote Georgia in Georgia. And I literally got every single state right in the whole, but I forgot one state. And it was Iowa. It was just blank. It was like I knew all the other 49, and I just forgot Iowa's name. I was like, I know what this is. Like, and I felt like an idiot right after. But I made like a 98 on the test instead of a 100 because Iowa's blank. But I feel like Kentucky is one of those states that, because there's not like a negative connotation to it. Like, people know about Ohio because Ohio, like, people make fun of Ohio, like, or there's like a super positive. Like, I feel like people love the Great Lakes. Like, everybody that goes like loves it. Yeah. So people know that Minnesota and Michigan exist. Ohio's also in the Great Lakes. Now that I'm thinking about it, and it's kind of like New Hampshire. Like, just nobody thinks about New Hampshire. So because it's just kind of like there. But when you go, it's like delightful. You know?
Yeah, I'd say.
I feel like that's been my experience at Kentucky.
Yeah, that I think I get a sense of what you mean there. Like, unless you grew up there. It's if you didn't travel there a whole lot, like it doesn't necessarily like come on the radar of like, and then one day we're finally going to move to Kentucky. Like one day we're finally going to, but there's so much beauty in that part of the country. And I have a lot of affection for it. I love when I get to go back and visit. I love showing people around the different parts of Kentucky. Like that's a lot of fun. I think it's a great place. And when they're, every now and then, like usually I hear more people moving to Kentucky for education. So they're going there to Louisville or to Center or to University of Kentucky for med school or something like that. Like, hearing people that are moving up there, that's initially for a short window. A lot of them end up sticking around because it's a great place.
Yeah. I mean, it does the whole thing that Nashville does with like the rolling plains, like whiskey like vibe of the, I don't know. I feel like that was something that I didn't realize until I was older when I literally drove to Kentucky for the first time. Mm-hmm. But Tennessee, like Nashville, is like closer to Kentucky than to Alabama, which is just really geographically stupid of me. But I feel like it looks like where all the rich people in Nashville live. I don't know a more delicate way of saying that. Kentucky looks like that area that I've been to, like we're in like Franklin and Brentwood, and also like in Whitechapel or. But I feel like Kentucky is so stinking beautiful when you drive around like rural. Like whenever we drive to, like Elliott for all the Cincinnati stuff, or for Dayton, Kentucky stuff, I'm always like blown away. I drove back through Lexington this time instead of Louisville. Yeah, which was, in my opinion, even prettier. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and in that, like you're not too far away from like right in central Kentucky is where the Abbey of Gethsemane is, where.
Thomas Merton,
Father Lewis lived and had his little hermit shack out there, and yeah, it's, and then, it's surrounded by distilleries and all of that stuff. And so have either of you been to a Kentucky distillery tour?
Have not.
No, I don't know if I've ever been to a distillery, period.
Oh.
One time I went to a winery, I guess is what it would be called, in Napa Valley, a vineyard. And but I wasn't 21, so I couldn't go in. So I just kind of sat. It was pretty. I just sat outside while all my buddies went in there.
Just looked from the parking lot.
I was like, I bet it's really cool in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the distilleries in Kentucky are definitely, I mean, it makes sense that it's where that a lot of tourism happens for the state, is because it's in a beautiful part of the country. The process is fascinating, and those places just do a really cool job. So, I usually, when people are visiting Kentucky, I usually get hit up for like recommendations and distilleries and everything. And there's Woodford Reserve is probably the one that I think is the prettiest. But
really, I feel like that would be kind of the low hanging fruit of it. It would be Woodford, because that's like the
most popular one.
Or that's like the, if you know anything about, is it a bourbon or a whiskey? It's bourbon. No, it's whiskey.
It's a bourbon whiskey. It's bourbon though. Yeah.
Okay, it's a bourbon whiskey.
It's distilled in Kentucky. It's 3/4 corn mash, and so
gotcha.
Yeah, it follows all the different.
I feel like
rules
that's
to be a bourbon.
When you get a bourbon drink,
water.
like or at least when I've been with like friends who upgrade and don't just do like the house bourbon, but they like upgrade. Woodford's like the go-to like upgrade. Mm-hmm. So, which I guess makes sense that the place is so cool then, because it's like that's kind of a cool aspect of like if you're the upgrade one,
Yeah, and just the beauty of like where it's built and the factory,
rolling hills,
like the rack houses and storehouses. And
you'll think this is cool. Speaking of the beauty, so Kentucky bluegrass is one of the reasons that the rolling hills and like the farmland look so pretty. Do you know what Bethpage Black is? It's a golf course in northern New York.
I don't.
Okay, so they're hosting the Ryder Cup, which is like the America versus England or Europe golf tournament. And I was watching a video today and realized that they use POA, which is a type of Kentucky, is like a strand of Kentucky bluegrass. And it's like incredibly rare for golf courses, much less like golf courses that host huge golf tournaments, to use natural grass, like the grass that's from there.
Yeah.
They sprinkle in rye and Bermuda into the rough, but the fairway and the greens are straight natural POA, which is kind of absurd. They said, like, if they were to host a major in like July, the place would look terrible because the grass like doesn't look good. But the majority of the year, it's like mild, like 50s at night, 70s in the day, kind of type. And they have the tournament like this weekend, and September's like when it's at its prettiest, and which I thought was like so interesting. It's also a state park course, and it's hosted like two U.S. Opens, and this is like its 9th tournament.
That's cool.
But anyway, so there's your Kentucky ergonomy.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Jeff, thank you so much for being on, man.
Thanks,
this
Jeff.
is awesome.
Thanks for coming to hang out in my office.
Hey,
it's been a lovely time.
Anytime.
I can't wait to hear how you edit this together.
For the Instagram reel?
No, I wasn't thinking about that. I was meaning the podcast itself.
Oh.
There's no way you're just hitting publish on this, right?
We definitely do that. Wait, see,
I believe
we can tell this on air. We send the podcast to you the Wednesday before it posts on like a private YouTube page.
Okay.
You hackers, go try and find it. And anything you want us to cut, we cut.
Oh,
that's how we do it. And by we, I mean Myers.
Yeah.
Because Myers has the podcast software on his laptop.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Who's your outro music?
This right here is a band called Good Morning. I've been listening to them a lot this week because they got a nice fall vibe. And I got to shout out Cole Eddins right now because he's the one who showed us this song.
Fantastic.
It's awesome. We have a music group chat with limited people because we don't want to just like, some people give out music recs and it's like, really
bad.
Do you want me to reference all my like socials and platforms and all that stuff?
Yeah, do you want to plug yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to plug. Tomorrow I'll be in my office Sunday, I'll also be working. Come hit up the 8 a.m.
That's right.
service.
You preaching this week?
No,
I was gonna say there's
No,
no
but
way
I'll
you'd
be
be
there.
doing this if you're.
I'll be there. I'll be
When
around.
you preach next?
It's a great question. October.
Nice.
Yeah,
Halloween.
it's once a month, so you'll find me. You'll find me. And then I've got email.
Yep.
I got email. That's pretty good.
Yep. I honestly like.
Yeah.
I like. All right, we're gonna end up talking about a whole other thing. I'm gonna cut, guys. Thank you so much for listening today. We love you. We love you.
Jeff
and
is
we love
findable
Jeff.
if you want to find him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally around.
He's here, wherever he is.
Hey, you can find him at the Piggly Wiggly and or the Greenwise.
Yeah.
From 5 to 6 ish.
Yeah,
Every day.
somewhere in there. Don't cut me off.
That's context clues.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Cheerio then. Goodbye. Oh, man. That was all I could have ever hoped for.
Was it?
I feel transported.
I like throughout